when the narcissist realizes they really have lost you. Hello, I'm hgTudor. In the dynamic that takes place between the narcissist and the victim, there are differing types. There is the one between the narcissist and the intimate partner primary source, perhaps the one that's most commented about, the romantic ensnarement. There are, of course, variations of that theme, with the dirty little secret, the intimate partner, secondary source of a shelf variety that takes place also. There are the dynamics within families, between the narcissist and non-intimate secondary sources, neighbours, friends, in the workplace. In the context of the narcissist realizing they've really lost you, the most applicable one, of course, is the dynamic between the narcissist and the intimate partner primary source. Whilst there may be instances of a family member no longer having anything to do with the narcissist or a friend, most people would turn their minds to the consideration of how does that impact on the narcissist when they realize they've really lost you, that you've walked out on them, you, the husband, the wife, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the partner, that no longer wants to be with them. You've decided that you've had enough and you've left them. What happens when the narcissist, perhaps sat there in the echoing emptiness of the house that you once lived in together, realizes that you're gone and that you're gone for good? What happens when that narcissist sits there and realizes that you're not coming back, that they have lost the person that gave them so much, that loved them, that supported them, that ran around after them, washed their socks, that made their meals, that listened to their monologues, that supported them, that took an interest in the things that they did, that went above and beyond the call of duty in relation to that relationship, and now you've gone. How does the narcissist regard it? Well, is the reaction something like this? Have a listen to this. I didn't play you the whole thing. I thought I'd spare your eardrums. Do you think that's what happens to the narcissist? That they sit there consumed with a snotty, howling emptiness as they wail and cry, recognizing the loss that they have experienced? Do you think that's what happens? That's the sound of the narcissist that suddenly realizes that they've lost the one true person that meant everything to them, that damning realization has come crashing in like that proverbial wrecking ball, that the pillars of their existence have come tumbling down as the sudden and stark and horrific realization dawns upon the narcissist: I've lost them. I have really lost them. They are not coming back. Well, the noise that you just heard there was actually generated by a narcissist, but, and it won't surprise you, it was performative. It was created in order to cause me to feel sorry for that particular individual, to provoke a response from me to them. It failed. I didn't respond to what they sent me by way of recording because I recognised what they were, and I also was completely unmoved by it. Indeed, I was simply contemptuous of the response that this person sent, which was a clear and obvious attempt to try and assert control over me and draw fuel from me. It wasn't the case that that was genuine grief and upset that was being exhibited and had just happened to be recorded. It was performative. That individual, seeking subconsciously the need to assert control over me and draw fuel from me, wanted to portray themselves as this particularly distraught and tortured soul. It was a pity play, but not an effective one. But might a narcissist sit there on their own and respond in such a supposedly grief-stricken way? The answer is no. First of all, when you depart the narcissist doesn't immediately think, I've lost this person, but rather it's akin to believing that the dog has run away, and thus the dog can be found and brought back. You see, you are the property of the narcissist. As I frequently remind you, in the subconscious mind of the narcissist, you are a toaster. You are simply an appliance that is expected to do what the narcissist requires. And in the circumstances, if you wander off, well, you can be brought back again. For all of your words that might be placed in a letter telling us that we're an awful human being and that you're leaving us and the reasons why, or the fact that there is no Dear John letter and you've just departed, the immediate response of the narcissist is not to think, oh my goodness, I have completely lost this individual, but it will be designed in respect of, I'll get them back. Such is a sense of ownership that the narcissist has, that the narcissist will then engage nearly every single time in doling out the initial grand hoover to try and pull you back into the relationship. There are rare exceptions where that won't happen. Perhaps where somebody else is on the cusp of being anointed as the intimate partner primary source and thus you were about to be disengaged from, and the narcissism decides that rather than try and utilize resources and assets to draw you back in, that the narcissist will let you now go because they'll just go and crown somebody else as the intimate partner primary source and focus on them. Where that happens, there's no realization that they've really lost you and lost somebody special. In effect, the narcissist regards it as them having got rid of you, even though you're the one that has left, because their focus is on the new person. You are deemed to be a traitorous and malfunctioning appliance, a faulty toaster. You're not wanted. A new, bigger, shinier, more effective toaster has been located, and the narcissist will focus on that person instead. But what about where that doesn't happen and the narcissist looks to get you back? What about the circumstances where the initial grand hoover occurs? And if you want to understand more about how that happens and what's done, read my book, No Contact. But what about if the narcissist goes down that line and it doesn't work? What if the intimate partner primary source who has escaped is well versed, has read the works of your glorious narrator and understands what they must do, and they put in place an excellent no-contact regime that the narcissist was unable to penetrate? Thus, eventually the narcissism has to call it a day. The frequent wounding as a consequence of ineffective hoovers which result in no response from the victim have punched holes in the construct, have drained the narcissist of fuel. Defeated, beaten, battered, with low fuel levels, with the ignited fury having occurred so many times that it's leaving the narcissist almost spent, the narcissist beats that retreat. The attempt to draw back the object, the intimate partner primary source, has failed. Is it at that point that the narcissist retreats back to the cavernous home which seems so much bigger and so much emptier with the absence of the intimate partner primary source? And is it then that they realize they really have lost you? The fact is, again, the narcissism will not allow the narcissist to compute that they have lost you, but rather that you are an awful person who has treated them badly and that your departure is simply symptomatic of you being a traitor. It isn't that the narcissist has lost you, but rather that you have shown your true colours, that you have failed to be supportive, that you have failed to abide by your views, that you have failed. Not the narcissist, but you. Is it the case that the narcissist, though, sits there, curled up in a ball, crying their eyes out, their sobs echoing through the home, bouncing off the walls, their tears pooling at their feet? Does all this happen because they think, I really truly have lost that individual? After all, are there not tales of the narcissist pleading with the victim to come back, saying, I've been crying my eyes out all night, I'm distraught, I can't live without you, life has no meaning without you, I haven't slept, I haven't eaten? Are there not such tales that would cause you to think that this is what is happening, that the narcissist sat there on their own, rocking back and forth, mascara smeared, Ralph Lauren polo shirt stained with the tears of misery? Well, the answer is no. For the narcissist to cry on their own is completely pointless, because there's nobody there to see it. They may, of course, feel dejected. They'll certainly feel sorry for themselves as a consequence of the escape of the victim, rather. But this does not translate into the narcissist sitting and weeping. No, because that doesn't serve any purpose. If a friend calls round to see how the narcissist is, having learnt of the fact that the spouse has gone, the waterworks will be turned on. The snotty sobs will appear. The wailing and crying and gnashing of teeth will occur. But it's all performative for that particular non-intimate secondary source friend to make them feel sorry for the narcissist, thus getting them under control, keeping them under control, and providing fuel to the narcissist. The narcissist may well go round to see a friend and say how they've been so upset, but it's a revision of history. It isn't the case that the narcissist sits there feeling tickety-boo and absolutely pucker and is dancing a dance of joy around the halls of Narc Hall. Hardly. But on the other hand, whilst they will feel an emptiness as a consequence of the diminished fuel levels, it isn't the case that they're sat there thinking, oh my goodness me, I've really lost that person. The narcissism simply doesn't allow them to go there. They may well say to somebody else, I've gone and truly lost the person that means everything to me. But again, that's performative. The narcissism is causing that person to say that in front of somebody else in order to assert control over that other listener and probably to gain indirect control over the person that has left them, as a consequence of the person that they're talking to feeling sorry for them. But if you think that the narcissist sits there on their own, lamenting, worrying, being upset, that doesn't happen. This is because the narcissism doesn't get anything from it. Who is it controlling? Nobody. Where's the fuel coming from as a consequence of crying and wailing? It isn't. Where's the residual benefit? There isn't one. Therefore, there is no point in the narcissism allowing the narcissist to sit there and wail and cry and regret. For the narcissist does not regret. There is no realization that they have lost you, but rather the belief that you've wandered off and can be brought back, and if that fails, then simply, I haven't lost them, they've been a traitor and they've departed. And the narcissism then will start the hunt for your replacement, causing the narcissist not to lament your departure or consider that you have been lost, but instead consign you to oblivion, as the narcissist seeks out your replacement instead, because that is what is going to help the narcissist. Sitting and mulling over the loss of you does not help the narcissist in any way. The narcissist can talk about this in front of other people because that serves a purpose vis-a-vis the prime aims. The narcissist can make it seem like he's been upset as a consequence of asserting control over somebody else by way of recounting their upset. But sitting on their own, with the realization that they've truly, absolutely lost you and being distraught at the same time, serves absolutely no purpose to the narcissist, and thus the narcissism will not let it happen. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.